Here is a shiny new flagship killing mid-ranger, the OnePlus Nord 4. Is this year's model even more feature-packed than last year? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out in our OnePlus Nord 4 review. Unlike OnePlus's flagship lineup, its Nord series aims to bring some high-end features while still maintaining a relatively competitive price point. These features include a capable chipset and fast charging. The Nord 4 also has a new main camera sensor and a larger battery than its predecessor. But the design of the Nord 4 is one of the more striking changes compared to the Nord 3. Rather than being made of glass or even vegan leather, the Nord 4 has a metal unibody made of aluminum. Mostly, there is some glass at the top around the cameras. The metal back has a laser engraved texture. The phone is on the slippery side, but feels quite premium. OnePlus described how difficult it was to make the phone out of metal without interfering with the 5G connectivity. They overcame that by using a new, compact antenna design, plus they're even using the phone's entire back to amplify the signal. As is typical for OnePlus phones, you get a 3-position slider on the side to control your notification alerts. And there's IP65 rated protection against water and dust here, an upgrade over the IP54 of last year. The display though is the same as the Nord 3's, a 6.74-inch OLED panel with a high resolution and a 120Hz refresh rate. The sharpness of this display amounts to 451 ppi, which is plenty sharp. Contrast is great, and there's support for 10-bit color and HDR10 Plus video. And for brightness, we measured a maximum of around 530 nits with the manual slider. Switching to automatic brightness allows for a boost to over 1100 nits when you need it. The screen's 120Hz refresh rate is active while you're swiping and scrolling to smooth things out. While the screen is idling, the refresh rate dials down to 60Hz to save energy. And in some apps, like Chrome, you max out at 90Hz instead of 120. For audio, the Nord 4 has a pair of stereo speakers with very good loudness. The sound quality is relatively full, with decent bass and clean vocals. The highs can get a bit distorted at max volume though. For biometric unlocking, the Nord 4 has an under-display fingerprint reader, which is quite speedy. And the Nord 4 comes with 128 or 256 gigs of storage. The former uses UFS 3.1 memory chips, while the 256 gig version has the speedier UFS 4.0. That's not expandable through microSD. The interface of the Nord 4 is OnePlus's OxygenOS 14.1 on top of Android 14. Compared to OxygenOS 14, the .1 brings AI-based features. These include things like text summarization, translation, and call transcription, as well as optimizing the phone's performance and connectivity in the background. There's an IR blaster here, so you can use the phone to remotely control other devices with. And OnePlus promises its longest ever support, 4 years of major software updates and 6 years of security patches to the Nord 4. If you're interested to learn more about OxygenOS's other features, you can check out our dedicated video. Under the hood of the OnePlus Nord 4 is the new Snapdragon 7 Plus Gen 3 chipset, and it's actually the first time we've seen it in action. The chipset is a step up from the regular Snapdragon 7 Gen 3 in pretty much all aspects. It's more powerful and brings built-in AI capabilities. In benchmarks, the Nord 4 did an excellent job for the class, outscoring most competitors in both CPU and graphics tests. It still doesn't match true flagship silicon like a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, but that's rare to find in this price bracket. When it comes to sustained performance though, the Nord 4 doesn't impress. We observed heavy thermal throttling within just a few minutes of our prolonged stress tests. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a larger battery capacity this year at 5500 mAh. The battery life is great here too, among the best in class. The Nord 4 was able to earn an active use score of 14 hours and 41 minutes, which is quite impressive. The Nord 4 supports 100-watt SuperVOOC charging. It's a step up from the 80 watts of last year, but a charger doesn't come in the box. With the proper charger, the Nord 4 can go from 0 to full in just 28 minutes. It may not sound like much faster compared to the Nord 3's 32 minutes, but remember the battery here is 10% larger. Now we're onto the cameras. The Nord 4 has a 50-megapixel main cam on the back, paired with an 8-megapixel ultrawide. It looks nearly the same as last year's setup, but there's no macro cam here, and the main cam has a Sony Leitia 600 sensor. While the sensor here is a bit smaller than last year, the main cam does a good job. During the day, photos have a decent amount of fine detail without additional sharpening added. Colors are conservative but accurate, and the dynamic range is pretty wide. The 2x digital zoom from the main cam is good for the most part. The shots are not as sharp as the regular ones, but still the sharpness is decent. In low light, you get automatic night mode processing, which kicks in more often than not. These photos look pretty natural and clean, without over-sharpening. There is plenty of detail, but sharpness could be better in some cases. Dynamic range is impressive, and noise is almost non-existent. 4K footage from the main cam is pretty nice. It's sharp, with plenty of detail, wide dynamic range, and natural-looking colors. In low light, the video quality is nice, with a lot of fine detail, good contrast and dynamic range, and low noise. Perhaps the biggest misstep is the lack of electronic stabilization when recording in 4K. There is an ultra steady mode that mimics action camera stabilization, but that records in 1080p at 60 FPS. On to the ultrawide cam, which does a decent job for this sort of camera. Photos have enough detail, good contrast, and accurate colors. They're not the sharpest though, and the dynamic range is limited. In low light conditions, we notice that the night mode takes quite a bit of time to take a single photo, at least 3 to 4 seconds, and still the results are soft and fuzzy with low contrast. The ultrawide is limited to 1080p recording. These videos are soft and lack detail, colors are washed out, and dynamic range is somewhat limited. Selfies from a 16 megapixel front-facing cam are pretty underwhelming. They have detail, but they're soft, with low contrast and color saturation. The dynamic range could use some improvement too. So that's the OnePlus Nord 4. It stands out from the pack with its unique metal design, excellent battery life, speedy charging, and powerful chipset. The overall camera experience is a mixed bag though. We like the quality from the main cam, but the lack of stabilization in 4K doesn't feel great, and the other cameras are nothing special. Still, if you can live with that, the Nord 4 has a lot to offer, and it'll be even easier to recommend when its price goes down. Thanks for watching guys. If you're looking for alternatives on our channel, you can check out our reviews of the Poco F6 Pro and the Google Pixel 8a. Let us know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.